Welcome back to episode 5 of Twinset Unzipped. It was our 2-year anniversary for What The Brand last week, so we thought we would dedicate this episode to 5 very special moments that have helped shape the brand.
As always, thank you so much for watching and listening. Please do leave us a review and subscribe. It means the absolute world to us.
Enjoy the show, guys.
So, Phils.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers to building a brand.
2 years of What The Brand.
Last week
We made it. How?
2 years has flown by,
Take
right?
a sip.
Cheers to What The Brand.
Cheers. A bit of ASMR for you.
Apologies if any of you are listening to this at 6 o'clock in the morning.
We're filming it at about 8:30 at night.
We've put the kids to bed. We are having a little tipple, and we just thought we would dedicate today's episode on celebrating the fact that we have reached 2 years of building our brand. We have definitely learned a lot in those 2 years. No doubt there is so much more to come.
Absolutely.
We very much know we are at the beginning, exciting stage of building a business. But that being said, I feel like we have quite a lot to share. And so many of you, we know, message us, you DM us, with all your ideas of wanting to start a business, don't know how. So we just thought we would try and share.
And try and inspire you guys today. Some moments that have really stood out to us that we've learned a lot from. So I'm going to kick off with number 1.
Let's do it.
Number 1, believing in an idea and trusting the timing. Because let us tell you, we started a brand in lockdown. I mean, were we absolutely batshit crazy?
Always.
And we weren't even in person. I was at my kitchen table. This was our initial call. I remember it so vividly. I was at my kitchen table. You were at your kitchen table. We were able to really get to know our followers on We Are Twinset during that period, I think, on another level, really learning about what they wanted, what they were buying, what they were interested in. And it made us see things in a different way. We jumped on a Zoom. We were like, why are we not doing this for ourselves? Why are we selling out all these other brands' items? We have to do this ourselves. It was a light bulb moment. And from that moment, we never looked back. That was it. Our mind was made up.
And in a weird way, obviously, lockdown being such a horrible, horrific, terrible time for so many. But weirdly, it was the making of our business, our career. It really we took it to the next level.
Also, remember, I'm interjecting, we built a business of being together, and we weren't able to be together for a year. So we had to totally turn everything on its head, do everything differently. And I think that made us able to take a step back and really work out what we really, really, truly wanted to do. And if we're honest, this has been a dream of ours deep down for years.
Yeah, we've always wanted to have something for ourselves. And, we toyed with different ideas. And when we signed with our agency, of course, they were there to inspire us, give us different ideas, different avenues. It just never felt like the right time. When you start a business, you're always going to have that doubt in your mind, is this the right time? And in theory, there's never the right time.
Absolutely.
And for us, it probably wasn't ideal at all. Sarah, you were newly pregnant. Just pregnant. We were in lockdown. There was so much against us, but yet we just felt like our intuition was that this is the right time, and we just went with our gut.
And I think we've done that always in business. Even what we launched with the brand, we just launched with loungewear, and some people again thought that was mad, but we knew we wanted to start with one thing and do it really, really well. We wanted to be able to produce things that was a buy now, wear now, and that's what we were living in at that time. We just wanted to do the best version, what we were missing in our wardrobes, and that was the best decision we ever could have made. And
also because of Twinset and having that great connection with our community, our followers, we knew, like all of our followers, they say, what do you wear on the school run? What do you wear on date night? What do you wear when you go out for lunch with your friends? So we have this amazing relationship with our followers. And at that time, everyone was just in loungewear. So that was all we wanted to wear. Yeah. So that was, of course, where we had to start. And that did have risks because even from the get-go, I remember we never wanted to be pigeonholed as a loungewear brand.
Yeah.
But we just had to start with something and make it really, really good. And that's what we felt passionate about at the time.
And let's just say we sold tens of thousands of loungewear sets from our kitchen tables.
We just were so not prepared for the impact of What the Brand. Perhaps a little bit naive, but I think that's always the best thing about us, is that we always try and have our feet firmly on the ground. We never really want to take anything for granted. And especially in lockdown, the risk of, is anyone going to buy new clothes? Everyone was at home. And so, yes, we were so nervous. And I will never, ever forget that feeling the night before, thinking, is anyone going to buy it? And we just were not prepared for what was about to happen.
And you know what? I read a quote from Mariana Hewitt's podcast. I listened to a quote, sorry. And she said something that really stood out that I think is quite us. She said, rather than thinking about what's the worst that can happen, what's the best that can happen. And I love that, because we didn't for 1 second think it's not going to work. We just thought, we're doing something with all our passion, all our energy, all our devotion to it. We didn't entertain that it wasn't going to work.
No, but we were nervous.
Absolutely nervous, but we never thought this is going to be a failure. We just thought we're doing what we love. We believe in it so much.
Absolutely.
And I just thought that quote really stood out to me.
I like that a lot. I feel like we just need to take that into...
Should we get it tattooed?
Every day. That's just rings so true. I mean, if you just flip it around, because ultimately, if you've got the idea... Obviously, you've got to have a backup plan, and you kind of have to think to yourself, yes, this is a risk, but I'm going to go for it. And I do remember us saying, if it doesn't work, we know we've tried, and I
just don't remember having those conversations.
We did.
Do I have rose tinted glasses?
No, but that's the power of the mind, how it just forgets, which is amazing. You forget that not negative, but just real feeling. And when something's good, the past just kind of melts away, doesn't it?
And I think one other thing that I want to add that is just a strange but really memorable for both of us is we have been throughout the years very into our spiritual healers and our psychics. And there was one thing that many, I think it's fair to say many, right? Many different women told us along our journeys, I'd say the past 10 years, was that one day we would start a brand and that it would include children's wear. Yeah. And we always just thought, okay, maybe, because we didn't see it vividly. It would never felt like the right time. And then when we started it and we started having those conversations, all those moments from different people
so well.
Coming back to us thinking, they were right. We're actually doing this. And how mad that it actually became true.
I remember it so vividly. I went to see, I guess, is she a psychic or a clairvoyant? One of those. And it was, I think Alfie was just born, so like 6 years ago. And I remember her saying, you're going to have ups and downs having babies. You and your business partner are going to be having babies, off work, on work. But when you're back, something big is going to happen, and it's going to be global. And I remember thinking, what is she talking about? Because I don't think at this point, 6 years ago, we were still really, we had just left our full-time jobs. It wasn't on our mindset then. And I remember thinking, global, like this woman is crazy. I mean, amazing, please God. And then more frequently than after you had Lenny, also had a very, very similar experience.
At events we went to with work, there often was like clairvoyants and psychics at like press days.
And we do love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we love that. Anyway, so that was just mad. So if something doesn't make sense in one of those things, I say go with it, because you never know what's around the corner.
Exactly.
And that is going to lead me on to number 2, which is keeping going when hurdles arise. And I think we hold our hats off to say we have experienced some hurdles in building a brand, because we've never built a brand before. Obviously, we have Nikki, our business partner, who is going to come on the show, isn't she? And we're going to talk in more detail about how we built the brand, how we started. And she has the skill set of working on a brand, merchandising, dealing with suppliers that we definitely didn't have and don't have. But there have been hurdles, right?
Quite a few, actually. But I think that's it. If you don't make mistakes and things don't go wrong, how are you going to learn? And I think that's just true for anything in life. We've definitely had hurdles, but I often, unless something is really terrible and you just can't fix it, I do try and think to myself, there's a reason behind this.
And also, it happens. I think
Yeah.
running a business, there's always going to be different things that get in the way. You're dealing with so many different factors. You've got your suppliers, you've got your factories, you've got freight, you've got if things are coming, they get
By
stuck.
sea, by
if
air.
they get stuck.
Yeah.
If you've got your warehouse, you've got holidays in the different countries that your products are being made. There are so many different elements that basically can go against you.
Yeah, I do remember when we launched, as we mentioned before, we had no idea how quick the stock was going to sell. We actually reached our 3-month target in the first 10 minutes, which was just wild. I will never, ever forget that feeling. And the next day we were out of stock. You know, we had just launched a brand.
And then it was like,
we had no stock to sell. And thinking, well, what's going to happen? Because we hadn't designed the next collection at that point. Because in our heads, we thought, okay, well, we'll see how the next 3 to 6 months go with this loungewear collection. And so we just thought, let's pre-order. Like, why not? You know,
on the bestsellers, we thought, let's take a risk with the bestsellers. We'll offer people the chance to order them
again,
and wait 6 weeks.
Yeah, and we, you know, at that time, we thought we had a really good relationship with that supplier. We had been...
Which, bear in mind, I'm just going to say, because of COVID, we never got a chance to meet. So everything was done. Obviously, now we go out to Turkey. We have a great relationship with our suppliers.
Yeah.
And, you know, and lots of other suppliers that we work with. But obviously, back then...
we had never met them.
It was all done on email, all done on Zoom. And that was a huge missing part of the relationship.
Yeah, and ultimately, things do go wrong. That's just the nature of manufacturing. And we're learning that. But now we're more developed, we've grown, we have other styles, so if things do go wrong and they don't feel right for us, because we're quite OCD with every single little detail, and that's what's important.
How dare you?
But that's why you know, we take everything so seriously.
Nothing gets through the net without our approval.
So, but now we're bigger and we've got more collection, as I said, so it doesn't matter if things go wrong, whereas at the beginning we just couldn't have loungewear going out that just wasn't right to us. And the issue was they had made it correctly, but just in the wrong color. And I remember that was the first time of thinking, wow, how are we going to fix this issue?
Because the issue was, if people ordered the new set in the new color, but they had the old set, or it got mixed up in the warehouse and you got one top and one bottom, it just couldn't work.
We could not have that. So we decided we've got to take this situation in our own hands. We were a brand new brand. I'm laughing inside for what we did. And I remember I think I messaged you and Nikki, and I was like, guys, we've just got to call every single customer.
Hundreds and hundreds of people.
And literally say, hi, it's Sarah and Philippa from WAT The Brand, and apologise. And I remember we sat at our desk for literally about 5 hours straight.
We took one person each. Bear in mind, we had to go on the back end of Shopify, get everyone's phone numbers, write the phone numbers down, call them, hi, Sarah and Philippa from We Are Twinset. We're really sorry we've let you down. This has happened. It's totally out of our control. We're going to refund you. We just wanted to personally call you to let you know.
Yeah.
But then some people were like, hi, how are you?
That will never happen again, because we learned from our mistakes. We will not do pre-orders. Nothing will go on sale until we have approved it and it is in our warehouse ready to go.
And I think as well, what you said earlier about it's always about the bigger picture. So even if those things go wrong, being able to look at it not as a negative, but as, well, this is just meant to be, this is part of manufacturing, it kind of makes it okay, because like you said, ultimately things are always going to go wrong.
And also our followers are buyers now on the brand. They mean so much to us. We would never ever have got to this point, only 2 years in, but we would never have got to this point without them. So we wanted to make sure that they knew how serious we are. You know, there are lots of influencers that do bring out brands, but they might be a one-off collection, whereas we were really serious at this point. We knew that this was going to, please God, be our future. I remember us having the conversation thinking, imagine if so-and-so called us and said, I'm really sorry, there's been an issue in production, but we're going to refund you and make it better. We just all thought to ourselves, that's so the right decision. And if that feels right for us, we know we've got to do it. And so I know before we mentioned about the power of timings, and sometimes there's just elements out of your control. And obviously, when we launched the brand, you were just pregnant with Edie.
And it was a really strange feeling to me because obviously I had a real life baby on the way, but we just started our new baby. So I was very conscious, you know, being totally honest, that I was going to be taking some time off, albeit very short, and that I was, you know, leaving you and Nikki, and you especially, to do not only the brand but Twinset. You know, even, you know, trying on the samples with a bump, like, do I really like these? Because I was looking different and stuff. But I think, like we said, it's never going to be the right timing, and we got through it. I think being part of a team, we just worked together and we worked through it. And, you know, I remember coming on our spring summer photo shoot, and Edie was 6 weeks old, and it was like the first time I've left her. And felt so amazing to be back. It felt so amazing to see those samples in the flesh that I hadn't seen. And that's such a huge part of me. So you just kind of make it work. Muddle through.
And I think those are the special, when you think back, please God, in like 10 years time,
absolutely,
we'll look back and we'll see all those campaign images with you with a huge bump. And, you know, I just also had Ava. So those are the moments that shape you. And as women, we have to build ourselves. We have to build a family. There's so much building going on, but it's all worth it. It's going to be really challenging, difficult times, but you ride the waves. And I think we're very fortunate that the three of us held it together. And there wasn't a meeting that you didn't miss on Zoom or whatever. You know, we were so used to just having Zoom meetings anyway, it kind of didn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think having the support of the three of us just made it happen. I mean, there's no way you would have been able to do it on your own, and there's no way I would have been able to do it on my own. So I think having a team, you're only as strong as the team around you.
And also life is going to get in the way. Life things are going to happen. Personally, between us, many things have happened, and we've got through it, like you said, the support of the team, and we always just make it work. It might not be ideal and it might be stressful, but you do get through those times.
And then that brings us on to number 4, which is being fluid and not fixated on a plan, which I think we are very guilty of. We're quite fixated on structure, routine, being organized. And sometimes what that does is it doesn't allow you to think outside of a box. Because when you wear so many hats and when you've got so much on, you have your plan. And, you know, we're guilty of sometimes just only thinking one certain way. But ultimately, things go wrong or things have to go in a different direction. And what we're learning, especially with building a business, is that you've got to be fluid with it. You've got to be open to change, to different avenues. We might have thought an idea was really great, and then, you know, one of our followers might just send us a DM and say, oh, I want to see this lounge set in this color. And then all of a sudden it's inspired us to do something completely different. So I think we've definitely been guilty of just being quite fixated with what we're capable of doing, the time we've got, and kind of the inspiration in our minds. But actually, I think we've definitely learned that you've just got to try and be as fluid and go with the flow as much as possible.
And I think it's something that we're definitely learning 2 years in. I think, you know, we might have an idea to recolor something, but actually people want it slightly different. And then we say, okay, let's take that feedback on board. We're going to not only recolor it, we're going to make this change or that change. And I think, you know, we want to love and want to wear every single piece, and we do. But also we want to create those pieces for everyone else. So it's about taking on board what the feedback is, you know, redoing sizes. And I think being fluid and being able to do that now with the team as well has massively helped us kind of take things to the next level. We're in such a state of growth at the moment, and it's so exciting, and being able to be fluid with it is incredible.
And actually today it was really funny. I was in the shops and a girl came up to me and said, oh, can I ask you where your leggings are from? And normally I would be quite reserved and a little bit shy.
You're like, wow.
But I went for it, and I showed her the website. I showed her our Instagram, even our Twinset Instagram. And she could not get enough of our active leggings. And she was like, you need to make it in color. And I said to her, oh wow, you're onto something here, thank you. And I messaged our designer straight away, and we are definitely going to be putting it into production. So guys, watch this space. A new color of our leggings is coming. And it was just really nice to have that chat.
There is something incredible when you see people wearing our pieces. And I just never forget that first time of spotting someone walking down my local high street. Yeah. I wound down my window and I was like, I love your jumper! Because it was just like, how has this happened? Now it feels like it's always been a part of us, and I can't imagine life without the brand.
And it's only been 2 years.
It's only been 2 years, but that feeling never will get old.
And actually the other day when I took Alfie for a haircut, there was someone in our black rib leggings, and I could see a little bit, maybe perhaps a bit awkward to come show me, but we connected with
your eyes met
our
across
eyes
the room.
Connected, and she kind of like pointed at her legs. I was like, oh my god, they look amazing. And she was like, I don't know whether to show you. I was like, oh my gosh, you have to show me. We literally love seeing it in real life. There's nothing better, especially on the school run, or when our parents are in a restaurant or away and then they get chatting to someone that loves our stuff. It's just the best feeling in the world.
It's so good. And that leads me on to my final point, number 5, is just what makes us keep going. And I think for both of us, it's those memorable moments. Like, remember getting those first samples, trying them on,
that
and
day
just
was amazing.
That day at your house, it was. I mean, we were in tears. I mean, I think at the beginning, every single milestone, we were sobbing our eyes out.
Yeah.
Because I'll never forget any of the moments at the beginning, but getting those first samples and loving them as much as we anticipated loving them was possibly the best feeling ever.
And our launch date kept getting pushed back, obviously because of lockdown and delays. Obviously, as we said before, we had never met our supplier.
It was fine.
We had never gone to see them. They didn't know who we were. There were delays. And we were shooting for We Are Twin Set at my house. We didn't have the office at this point, no studio. And Nikki called us. It was just before lunchtime. I remember it so, so well. And she said, guys, I've got the samples. Can I come over? And we had so much to do for Twin Set. We were like, yeah, definitely. And in my head, I had visualized this whole big day that we were going to have to open up the samples. And we'd have like a huge lunch spread. But it was none of that. But it was so perfect in its own way because it was so real.
And every packet we opened with the labels on, it got better and better and better. And we were like, we can't believe we've done it. How the fuck we've done it.
And I remember we moved my mirror and we just tried them all on, all 3 of us. Yeah. And it was that moment actually with the colours. We didn't even realise at the time how well the colours were going to look together in our heads. When you sketch them, and we didn't even have a designer.
We didn't have like proper storyboards. No. Like it was so small on such a different level that it's not what it is now.
And it just came to life and we tried it on, and that day was pretty epic. But for me, the most memorable day was our launch day.
But also, what about you're missing the middle section, our first shoot?
Yeah, launch day for me.
Launch day was incredible. But the first shoot of wearing our clothes and having like a studio full of 15 people, hair, makeup, videographers, people that had given us food and drinks and everything to celebrate the brand, and getting those photos of us wearing the pieces, it was one of the best days of my life. And it was snowing outside.
It was snowing. And it was probably, March? I think, this time last year.
I'd literally just announced.
Yeah. We had we shot the collection everything was so last minute. We shot the collection probably 3 days before we went live with it. So, it was March.
And that launch
snowing. Launch day, for me, and I remember thinking, maybe
You'll only launch a brand once.
Exactly, but we'll never have that feeling ever again. It was so unexpected, so exciting.
The emotion was, we were a mess, all of us.
Yeah.
And I just remember walking around Nikki's living room being like, oh my God, this is happening. Oh my God. And I was writing everything down in that book, everything that happened minute by minute of our launch.
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah, we just couldn't believe it. And I think that's, in a kind of really lovely way, that was the best thing, because it just exceeded all of our expectations.
And every day it does.
Yeah. And we know we are so at the beginning of this whole journey ahead. Please God, we're working so hard. Our visions are beyond our wildest dreams, but we're going for them because we believe in ourselves, we believe in our idea, we're taking small steps and we're visualizing it, and we are loving every single day. Not every day is easy, but I would say we enjoy the whole process. And especially also being as a team, when we go into the office on a Tuesday and there's 7 of us there and the designer's in, and it's so exciting and
we've
inspiring.
got the most incredible team, haven't we? We feel very lucky that everyone brings something really quite special to the environment. And I feel like, how we're growing and, the way we're doing things and we keep learning is because of the amazing people around us.
Yeah. But we wanted to put on Instagram, let you guys know that we were going to have this conversation over on the podcast. And as I said at the beginning, lots of you do DM us asking any tips about setting up the business and the brand. So we just thought we would reach out, answer any specific questions that you have for us. And there were some really nice ones. So Sarah, do you want to start with the first?
Yeah, we thought it was also be good to end on a few questions after hearing our story and then really answering kind of those burning questions that you guys have. I think one of the questions that came up a lot was, how does your typical day look like in terms of work and non-work, family, self-care, etc. time? And I would say that it is definitely a juggle. Every day is quite different in terms of balancing our time. Obviously, we share it between Twinset and WAT The Brand. Then we've got school pickups, we've got Zoom calls with our agent, Zoom calls with our PR, we've got Zoom calls with our suppliers.
I think one thing I actually really do struggle with personally is juggling in my head the mum I want to be and the businesswoman I want to be. So when Alfie started school 2 Septembers ago, I wanted to be there for every drop-off and I wanted to be there for every pickup, to the point that I was making myself ill. Because obviously to get to school for 3 o'clock, that's not a full day. And then in my head, you think, oh, okay, well, I'll work when I get home. Well, you can try, but it's never like being in the office, being with your team, getting the stuff done at your desk without children around you. So I constantly do struggle with that, vision of motherhood versus businesswoman, and that's definitely something I'm still working on. I think I'm getting a little bit better, but it's something I'm working on.
I think you always feel like you're doing one thing really well and then something else really quite badly, but I feel like we do our best, and I think we're learning as well to get that bit of self-care in, whether it's in the morning, in the evening. It's become really important to both of us that we just make a small amount of time to have a bit of quiet time in the morning or do our exercise, have our hot water with lemon, because if we don't factor that in, we're just go, 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 go. And I think that's when it can become too stressful.
Yeah, it's having those little moments that definitely help. So we've been asked, which aspects of the business are you mostly in charge of and which ones are managed by the team? I would say at the stage that we're in, because we are very new, we are in charge of everything, pretty much. Partly also because we are control freaks, but also we're still at the early stages, and no one, although we have the most incredible team that support us, ultimately the biggest decisions, especially the designs and the sampling and everything, we work collaboratively, but it comes from us, right?
And I think the more logistic side and the figures side, that Nikki is very much in charge of that. And Rachel, our merchandiser, kind of deals with figures and that kind of thing. But in terms of the look, the feel, the marketing, all those things, we, from the swing tickets to the what day and what time things are going to launch and how it's going to launch and what it's going to look like on the first day, the second day, that all is done with all of us together, and I think probably will be forevermore.
One element you love and one that you hate about being business owners?
Oh, I couldn't think of something I hate when I saw this question.
No. Because
one thing I love is just living our dream every day. And
Yeah.
that might be a bit cliche, but I do, you know, how many times we walk into the office or we finish the day at the office and we say, how have we created this? Like, how is this starting from taking our pictures on a weekend to this? You know, it is pinch me every day, and we feel so grateful that we've been able to do it.
I think what I love the most is knowing the best is yet to come. And I like that, you know, that feeling that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago about the build up to the holiday is sometimes better than the actual holiday. It's the same kind of aspect. I just love knowing what the future, because in my head, you know, we visualize it, we dream it, we really do feel it. It's just knowing that that's to come. And that feels really very nice.
I like that. Do you hate anything?
No, definitely. I don't. There's struggles, you know, the workload and especially with being on social media, you don't switch off. It's not a 9 to 5 job. It's not you turn up at your desk and then you leave at 5 and you don't even think about it until the next morning. We take it home with us. We work, you know, we are very guilty of working in bed. I try and put my phone down by 10, but it's not always the case. But it's going to be worth it, and we love it, and it doesn't feel like a job to us. It just feels like our life. Would you say the same?
No, absolutely. I feel like I just can't pinpoint something I hate because I feel like everything's part of the process.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's definitely things that we don't enjoy. And, you know, of course, like we said, getting that odd message if someone's unhappy or, you know, that does hurt.
Yeah.
But that's part of it. And how can we learn from that? How can we grow from that? I think that's really important. So yeah, there's nothing that we hate.
No, luckily.
No positive pennies always. Do you guys ever get dismayed with posting and coming up with content daily? If so, what do you do?
Well, this is something I feel on the regular, because you always think, am I going to have an idea for tomorrow? How will I get inspired?
P.S. Do we have an idea for tomorrow?
But somehow it always just slots into place, and you weirdly find inspiration from areas that you just didn't even think you would.
Yeah.
Or, you know, especially for, you know, when we're looking at Pinterest, Instagram, street style, you take an element that will then you'll interpret it in a whole different way, and then it can just transpire into a whole different story. So I definitely do often have those feelings of, are we still going to feel inspired? But I think when you're creative and you try and just kind of gravitate towards things that you're interested in and inspired by, you're always going to develop.
And listen, we wouldn't be honest if we say, you know, I know, yeah, sometimes I don't want to take a photo of myself and I don't feel the best and I don't feel inspired. But like you said, when we really make it our own and we actually think it's a really good idea, you kind of, once you get in front of the camera and we know what we're doing and we get that confidence, it does work. But I think sometimes you know, getting up in the morning, hair, makeup, etc., can be...
Well, especially when we have 2 full-time jobs. So technically with the brand, we need to be in the office, you know, with our merchandiser, buyer, designer, but then there's a whole other aspect of being front face and, you know, having the makeup, having the hair and all of that. So it's 2 jobs. So it's a lot. This is an interesting one. When to hire the first person and how feels impossible with small business turnover. I think that probably, we probably answer that by saying we do still do so much of the business because we are still really new. The brand is completely self-funded by the 3 of us. So obviously every penny, means everything to us. So we're a team of 7 that we are very humble and proud of. But yes, in an ideal world, we would love to have a team, you know, and it's definitely even conversations we're having at the moment where we're just thinking, are we stretched?
Yeah.
We know we're stretched, but which areas are we really stretched on? And I think especially for us, because we are the face of the brand, we want to make sure that we always have the time to feel inspired. And all of that takes time, or, you know, to create the content. And sometimes you just can't do everything. But I totally hear your point there, because when you're at the beginning stages of a business, it's very difficult to start employing.
And it did take us a while to hire that first person. Obviously, we did have freelance designers and things like that. But in terms of like someone in the office with us, really kind of part of the team. And that was not, how long ago was that?
Oh gosh, in the summer.
Yeah, so
yeah,
not that long ago. And that was a really big step for us. You know, getting the office was actually more of our bigger step for us because we just couldn't work at our kitchen tables anymore.
I'm going to quote my grandma. She always says you have to speculate to accumulate. And I think that is very wise, obviously within time and when you financially can. But we have always found that, especially, as you said, with Rachel, how far we've grown since having her. And without her, we wouldn't have been able to.
And it was another skill set, another pair of eyes, and someone with amazing experience. I just think you've got to give it time. And it will feel, you'll know who that person is, like you said, when you're stretched and you feel like there is one aspect that you're perhaps not the best at, or you need expert advice. And it doesn't have to be a full-time role. You know, our team of 7, they're not all full-time, but they all add something that we really need to the business.
Should we answer one more?
Go on then.
Okay, last one. What's your proudest moment since you started your business? You go first.
Nothing will beat that launch day. Seeing that website up and seeing that first order come through, that to me is and will always be the proudest moment.
I think for me, I'm not going to mention any names, but there is a lady at school who is so inspiring to us. You know who I'm talking about. And she, when Alfie first started this school, I obviously didn't know who any of the parents were, didn't know who any of the teachers were. And I remember walking Alfie for the first day, and in front of me was this lady wearing head to toe slate. And she's a really inspiring lady for many reasons. And I will never forget that moment. And I went up to her, I tapped her on the shoulder and I said, I love your tracksuit. And since we've connected and built a lovely friendship, and she's amazing. So that for me is a very special moment.
So on that note, happy birthday, What?
Happy second birthday
Happy
to What.
second
But there's
birthday.
another very special birthday.
And we're going to wish Craig, my husband, a very happy 40th birthday for tomorrow.
40 and fabulous.
40 and fabulous. And I love you and happy birthday.
Cheers, Craig.
Cheers.
Love you, BF.
Love you.